So Mario Kart World looks way better than I was expecting. It's such an awesome concept and a 3D freaking Donkey Kong. I've been waiting for a 3D Donkey Kong since Donkey Kong 64. We finally got it. I'm so excited. Well, okay, so now we know about the Switch 2. I'm going to try to keep the editing in this video to a minimum because I really just want to talk with you all and discuss what's going on with Switch 2, what's going on with Nintendo, the ups and the downs, and the really confusing situation we find ourselves in. Alright, so to start, the Direct was good enough. Came in extremely excited. I left disappointed. I had worked up these thoughts in my mind because of all the leaks, to be honest. So when the Switch 2 was actually revealed and it met even, it didn't disappoint. It was exactly what I expected, but it wasn't above what I expected. So that's really not fair to judge it by that, but there were just some features that weren't there. It felt very lackluster as far as features go, and then some of the features that were actually interesting cost money. And coming from Nintendo being the budget console, in which it really shouldn't be, it just kind of had to take that place because of things that happened with the Wii U. But because it was the budget console, everything seems extremely expensive in comparison to what we're used to with Nintendo. So first of all, let's talk about the games. There were a lot of third-party games, which is good, because for the last few console generations, we really haven't had a lot of third-party support with Nintendo. And we're getting pretty much all the third-party support now, which is, yeah, that's awesome. But there just weren't very many first-party games, and Nintendo is the first-party company. Mario's locked behind Nintendo, Zelda's locked behind Nintendo, Pokemon is locked behind Nintendo, Pikmin, I mean, the list goes on and on. There are so many great first-party games, and they're all Nintendo. So we buy Nintendo consoles for first-party games, and there was only 3. And I'm only interested in 2 of those. Those 2 being Mario Kart and the new Donkey Kong game, which I'm honestly really, really excited for because I loved Donkey Kong 64. I know a lot of people hate it, and there's a lot of negativity behind that, and it kind of killed platformers for a while, but I love it. I love Donkey Kong. I love seeing Donkey Kong in 3D. I love controlling Donkey Kong. It's really, really fun, so I'm really excited for that game. But aside from the lack of first-party games, there were also games that really should have been free. The Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour? I'm sorry, but it's not worth money. It's really not worth $10. That's basically like purchasing a game back when they had instruction booklets in it, but saying you gotta pay an additional $10 if you want the instruction booklet. That's all it is. It's a glorified instruction booklet. And I hope that Nintendo isn't going that way as far as their business practices, because if we're going down that nickel and dime route, possibly even microtransactions, I know that's a dirty word, but if we're going down that route, Nintendo might be doomed. We might actually see a repeat Wii U situation, and I would hate that. Because Nintendo, they make really good games, and I would hate to see them fail. I mean, there's a lot wrong with the company, because I know they're lawsuit happy, and they've got their cracks, but as far as games go, they're very solid, excluding Pokemon. I don't know what happened with Game Freak. Yep, looking at you, Scarlet and Violet. Not to mention this community feature. If y'all were there for the Direct, you saw that it's extremely choppy, and I'm sorry, but it's just not good enough. It's not worth using. I'm not going to use something that runs a freaking 10 frames a second. That's trash. I'll use Discord. A million times better. And if we're going down this path for the system, it's going to be Wii U 2. It's not going to be worth it. The system itself is impressive, yes. 120 frames a second, 4K, yeah, that's impressive. It's good. That's actually a little bit above what I was expecting. But as far as the software goes, it's below. And I hate that, because I was so hyped for this Direct, and it was just good enough. You just did the bare minimum. And also on the software side of things, the game upgrades, the Switch 2 editions, was very confusing, because people don't realize that you can still play the games on the Switch 2 from Switch 1. They're thinking you're going to have to pay $10, $20 to play the games because you all didn't communicate that well. And it's not just one person. I've seen a bunch of people not understanding what that is. But I mean, the feature itself is awesome, because you're basically getting a definitive edition or a Switch 2 edition of a game versus a $10 to $20 upgrade if you already have the game instead of having to buy it fresh. Which with most companies, you just have to buy the game fresh. You'd have to buy the Switch 2 edition. So it is a really good deal. But people don't understand that because you failed at communication. Another really cool feature they have is that if you have one copy of a game, you could share those games with people in your Nintendo family. So that's going to save you a lot of money there. So even though the price of the games are higher, you're still going to pay a similar amount, and sometimes you'll get off cheaper. It's just a whole different type of economy, and it's going to take some learning. And hopefully they'll have some game demos where we can actually try out a game for a day or something. Because with the price tag being so high, we can't just go out and blow $80 to try out a game. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll see game rental services making a return. But I think that might also be why they're pushing digital games so hard. They don't want people to be able to do rental services and things like that because it affects their bottom line. It's just, with that price tag, you almost have to. But you didn't have any prices displayed because you knew it'd be too high. You knew people would freak out. And in the treehouse, everyone commented the prices were too high. $450 for the console is fair. And I know the world's changing. I know there's tariffs and all these other things that are coming into place that are making things more expensive. But for what this system offers, $450 is fair. The bundle is actually a good deal since it's only $50 in addition for the Mario Kart game, especially since the Mario Kart game is going to be apparently $80. The game industry as a whole needs to find ways to streamline 4K to make it less expensive to develop, because $80 for a game, especially in this economy, is too much. Everything is more expensive, which means we can afford less. And I'll tell you what, these games better be freaking perfect. Let's say somebody has a $100 game budget. Instead of buying 2 games like they would before, now they can only buy 1 game. So they're going to do the research, they're going to watch people play it, they're going to look for performance issues, and if there's anything wrong with it, they're just going to skip your game. They'll play something else. They'll go to their Steam library and play their $10 games. There are so many games now that Blockbuster games don't have the power they used to have. So people are going to do a lot more research, they're going to be a lot more picky, and they're going to be selecting a lot fewer games. So with you increasing the tag price from 60 to 80, you're not going to make more money. Instead of selling 2 games and making $120, now you're going to make 80 just because on paper it looks so much more expensive. There will be fewer games purchased. That's just a fact. And I'm okay with paying 80 if the game is really good. And I understand the cost that comes with 4K, so I'm okay with paying that. But even myself, I'm not rich, so I'm going to have to select and choose which games that I play. I can't buy them all. Say I have a $200 game budget or a $300 game budget, and the games are somewhere after tax or somewhere around $100. Instead of picking 6 games, I can only pick 3. I mean, it's going to limit me. It's going to limit what actually is played. And when you can play less, there's less reason to buy the console. People are going to have to really save up to get this console now because of how expensive everything is. And that's not including the controllers. The controllers are really expensive now. People have less money when inflation rises because the pay doesn't follow the increase. I'm excited for the system. I'm still excited. I'm actually not as excited after seeing the Direct. I did lose a lot of hype after seeing the Direct just because I'm worried. I'm worried about these shady practices. If they would have showed the prices of the systems, if they would have showed the prices of the games, if they would have been straightforward and honest with everything, and if they would have packed in their freaking tech demo that isn't worth money, then I would have been okay. I would have been just as hyped, maybe even more hyped. But because they're hiding things, because they're being shady, and caring less about the customer, focusing more on the bottom line, I'm worried. And that's what's brought down my hype. That's what brought me from 100% buying the system to 50%, which I'm probably going to get it just because I want to play my games with higher processing speed and better frame rates, but I just don't know how many of the actual Switch 2 games I'm going to buy, to be completely honest. I'm going to get Mario Kart, of course. I love Mario Kart. That's going to be worth it for me, but that may be where the budget ends. And I'm worried about them increasing the price of the online, making it where the Nintendo Switch Online original package is obsolete and you have to get the expansion pass in order to use it. I don't know where they're going to stop with these money-grabbing tactics. But again, a lot of the games look really good. And I know I've seemed really negative during this review, but I am really excited about the console. Like I said, it's more powerful than I expected. Mario Kart looks a million times better than I expected. It looks really freaking good. And I don't have the expectation for any more laggy games, like Scarlet and Violet and Pokemon. And, you know, I have high expectations for the game quality. I've had expectations for the titles that are going to come out, and I wasn't disappointed in the system, but again, it was just good enough. They didn't reveal enough in the Direct to make it worth an hour. Because all those third-party games we've seen before, they could have cut all that out. That wasn't necessary. In the same token, I'm a little bit worried about the quality of things, just because the live stream cut out. I know that you can't hold them accountable for their internet cutting out or whatever happened. But if they're overlooking little details and letting the live stream fail and collapse as it did, because we know it froze up and we missed some of the trailers, will they be putting that same lower standard into their games? Will they be putting that into the Joy-Cons? Because we still don't know if the drift is fixed. Are we going to have the same problems and the same quality standards falling that we saw in Switch? Or are we going to be back to the Nintendo quality that we're used to? The actual Nintendo seal of approval. Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens.